Are you truly stepping into the role of leader in your own life, the way you know you're meant to? What shifts would unlock your full potential? It's time to explore those answers with the host of Sacred Leadership, intuitive business coach Sherisse Alexander.
Welcome to another episode of Sacred Leadership with Sherisse here on the Inspired Choices Network. So today, what I am going to be talking about is the things that we do not say out loud. In today's solo episode, I'm talking about a little bit of a confession, and that confession is that I was completely unprepared for today's episode. And in that, that is going to form the crux of what today's episode is about. So without further delay, let us dive into the things that we don't say out loud. And as I just said, the truth is that I like to be really, really prepared. Maybe some of you can identify with the feeling of needing to be prepared. And I guess the question I would start with is, well, why do we want to feel prepared? What is it? And even now, as I'm thinking about what it means to be prepared, it's a safety blanket. It's what makes us feel safe and secure. And more importantly, kind of prepping so that we can preserve this facade of, at least for me, I'm not going to speak for anybody else today. I am solely going to speak about myself because this is literally happening in real time. I was looking at my calendar. I knew that I had to do this today. That much I at least knew. But as I went to go look at my notes, I was like, oh my goodness. I don't think that I even fully prepared for this today. I had an idea, but I didn't sketch out the details or at least, put together some bullet points of what I wanted to talk about. I contacted the producer. I'm like, hey, I know I'm supposed to do this for today, but did I send the framework, the show notes, the this, the that, all the things? And of course, she was like, no, you actually didn't. So I went into full panic mode. And as I was starting to put together what I wanted to chat about today, the first thing, of course, the question I posed to myself is, okay, well, what is it that so the episode was always going to be called The Things We Don't Say Out Loud. And so I started with a question to myself. What is it exactly in this moment that I didn't want to say out loud? And the things I didn't want to say out loud were, I forgot. And what I mean when I say I forgot is I forgot to plan. I wasn't prepared. There's a million things that were going through my mind between when the episode actually came to me and this moment. A million things have happened between that point in time and now. And the other part of that is that I rarely, or if ever, want to show up being unpolished, unpresentable, like I don't have it all together. I always want to look unflappable, cool under fire. These are generally speaking the words that people will attach to me when they talk about me. They'll say, oh, she's calm, she's cool, she's collected, she's presentable, she's all these things, enter in all the adjectives, all the descriptor words. And I did not want the facade to be cracked. That is the thing that I did not want to say out loud. Is that the truth is that the last week, 10 days, maybe even month, have been challenging on many levels. And even though I feel in a lot of ways that I've navigated it, uh, you know, with ease and grace and all of these things, and the facade still firmly intact, the truth of the matter is that it's been challenging on the inside, right? And I'm an internal processor. And so while it might outwardly look like I have it together and everything, and let me be clear, this is not like, crisis, we'll say, but just where, I don't feel solid in self. I don't feel like I have it all together. There's a lot of things going on. It's just past the midpoint of the year. If you've been listening to the previous episodes, then you would understand that there's been a lot of inner reflection, looking at what serves, what doesn't. Do I need to shift? Do I need to shift or, let go of things? Or do I need to double down? And so now that all those decisions have been made, and it's go time, for lack of putting it a better way, sometimes things slip through the cracks. And so what I didn't want to say is, hey, sometimes I don't have it all together. Sometimes I forget things. Easily enough, I can actually say this to the people that I work with. And the interesting thing about that, even as I'm reflecting in it or reflecting on it in this moment, is that I have a much easier time saying that to the people who report to me than I do to my colleagues, the people who are my peers, will say, so on the same reporting lines. I have a tough time saying it to them. Oh, I forgot. Oh, I dropped the ball. Oh, I missed that. Or, oh, I made a mistake. But I have a much easier time admitting it to the people who report to me. So even now, I'm asking myself a question, why? And the why is quite simple. The why is it's for whatever reason easier for me to say to somebody who reports to me. And I think even as I'm saying it now, the reason why it's easier is because they report to me. And so it's almost like an invitation that they too can, we'll say, make a mistake. They too can forget things. And I feel that by being honest with them in that moment, that I am giving them permission to make mistakes, because if I'm going to teach and if I'm going to mentor and if I'm going to give them the space, then I have to be willing to say to them that it's okay to make a mistake. And maybe that's why it's easier to admit it to them than it is to my colleagues. Maybe with my colleagues, I need to feel like I got it all together. So then it even had me going back in time even further. Do you see how this stuff always comes up? It always comes up in all the moments, all the time. But when I was thinking about it, like, well, where did that first start? And of course, most of these things start in childhood. Where was the first place that I felt like I needed to show up perfectly? And I think that the first place that I learned that was childhood. Having the parent, and some of you might identify with this, but having the parents who demand perfection, the parents who say, great, you got 95%. Where's the other 5%? That is likely the first place where this need to be perfect, this need to never fail, this need to never let anybody see you sweat under pressure. But the reality is that's what makes us really human in this experience, is not having it all together all the time. So the version of me that most people get to meet is the one that is really calm, really collected, really put together. Um, and it's me in a lot of ways. It's me 99% of the time, but there is the 1% of the time where, I don't necessarily have all of the answers. And, you know, as I was prepping for this, there was full panic, if I can be honest within that. Um, and I mean full panic internally. And even now, to tell you what kind of shit show day it's been, right before I joined today to do this, I've got people who are calling, who are texting, who are sending me messages, who are like, you're this thing and that thing. And I'm just like trying to tune them all out and be fully present in this moment. So that is even exacerbating it within me now. But to the point around, as I prepped for this, what was I feeling? And what I was feeling was like this panic in my belly, panic in my heart center, tears at my eyes, because it was like the facade is slipping. The part of me that is so put together almost all of the time, who has things together most of the time, um, it's slipping. And I think that I think there's a lot of people that will understand that. I think there's a lot of people that identify with that. And even now, as I'm saying it to you, what instantly comes to mind are mothers, and I am a mother, but I'm talking about mothers when you're new to motherhood, when you're trying to figure it out, when there's no rule book on how your particular new bundle of joy is going to cry or how their hunger sounds or like when their hunger actually there are books around it, but my point is that your experience is going to be very different and very unique to you when you first become a mom, as an example. And you can read as many books as you want, but the reality is that when you're in that moment, there's nothing that's going to prepare you for it. And I think that there's a lot of pressure to perform it very well, um, and not let the facade slip. And I remember having, when my kids were young, I had an aunt, and it was a compliment, I can say that. But she would say to everybody around me, "Do you look at Sherisse, look at how she's got it so together. She's got all these kids running around, and she's just, she does it without a sweat." And it was a compliment, and it is a compliment even now, but also equally a lot of pressure on me to maintain that calm and that facade, and a lot of pressure on everyone else who was then being measured by the bar that was being set. And so that's just one example that I'm going to use. There's so many. And I think maybe the reason why it's like so relevant in this particular space where I talk about sacred leadership and what that means is that, I use the mother as an example, but even as leaders, and that's ultimately, yes, I wear the role of mother, but I equally wear the role of being a leader. And when things don't go according to plan, people look to leadership to be calm, be cool, be collected, have all the answers. And the truth is that in the human experience, things don't always go according to plan. And I think the most human thing that we can probably do, and the strongest thing that we can do as leaders, is actually admitting that and saying, you know what? I don't have it all together. I don't have all the answers. I don't know how we're going to move through this, but I think that we can figure this out together. And I think that that's probably the most human, authentic, and genuine thing that we can say. So today, what I am talking about is the things that we don't want to say out loud. And today, the entire episode will be about not wanting to say that sometimes I don't have it all together. Sometimes I'm not prepared. Sometimes I don't have the answers. Sometimes my personal life does overcrowd my work life. Sometimes I am tired. Sometimes I am emotional. Sometimes I'm just having a good old fashioned human day. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. And even as, I was thinking about all the things that I wanted to say and how I was going to say it and what I wanted to share, I wanted to try and figure out a way that I could over prepare for this in probably 20 minutes, 25 if I'm being generous. How was I going to over prepare for something that I completely forgot about until the very last minute in 25 minutes? And even within that, I was taking notes of this, like that intense need to have this security blanket of over preparation so that I would feel okay, so that I would feel like I was still being presentable, that I would feel like, the facade had not been, hadn't cracked too much. So, as we roll through today's episode, I'll be real honest with you. A lot of this we're going to wing today. I'm just going to literally ad lib, and whatever comes through is going to come through in the moment, because the thing that I did not want to say out loud today is that I completely forgot about this, and we're just going to wing it as we move through. So a question, we're about to go to our first break, and the first question that I guess I would pose to you is this. What is the thing that you do not want to say out loud? What is the thing that you are sitting with that keeps popping up in your mind? Is it a thing that you forgot? Is it a quiet truth that is there and that you just kind of keep pushing away but keep circling back? What is the thing that you want to say out loud that you haven't? And here's the deal. You don't actually have to say it out loud to anybody, but maybe admit it to yourself. Because when we can begin to admit the things that we don't want to say out loud, just even to ourselves in a journal, in our head, just a gentle acknowledgement of like, yeah, you know what? I totally did not want that facade to be cracked. That is where we can begin to be really honest with ourselves and maybe with the people who are around us. So as we go to our first break, that's the first question. What is the thing that you do not want to say out loud? We will be right back.
Leadership isn't reserved for CEOs or world leaders. It's something each of us is called to embody in our own lives. But how do you awaken that inner leader with clarity and confidence? On Sacred Leadership with intuitive business coach Sherisse Alexander, you'll discover powerful tools and spiritual insights to align your words, actions, and outcomes. Tune in every Wednesday at 11 a.m. Eastern, 10 Central, 9 Mountain, and 8 Pacific, right here on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com.
Are you a subject matter expert? Are you here to share your expertise with an audience waiting to hear from you in only the way you can deliver? Are you ready to have your voice amplified across the airwaves? Inspired Choices Network has a global radio platform streaming to millions of people across the world. Professionally produced and supported by an accomplished team every step of the way, you can broadcast from anywhere in the world, knowing your voice matters, and we ensure it is delivered with ease and efficiency. Eager to hear your message, the world awaits. Contact us today to become an Inspired Choices Network radio host. Email become a host at inspiredchoicesnetwork.com.
This is Sacred Leadership with Sherisse Alexander. To participate in the program, join the live studio audience in our chat room at inspiredchoicesnetwork.com. You can also send an email to Sherisse@pavitraleadership.com. Now back to the program.
Welcome back to Sacred Leadership with Sherisse here on the Inspired Choices Network, where today I am talking about the things we don't want to say out loud. And in the first segment of today's episode, I was sharing a very, very real truth, which is that I completely was unprepared for today. And more importantly than that, because the truth of the matter is you would never know. In today's day and age, I'm sure that I could have pulled it off in such a way that you would have never known. So that in and of itself is such a authentic and vulnerable place to be, where I'm saying I wasn't prepared. I completely dropped the ball. I forgot. I got busy. A million things came up. There's 1,000 things that I could have said, or I can say even now, and you would have never known. But I think the reason why I forgot is that I'm supposed to humanize it, and I'm supposed to make it okay to not be perfect 100% of the time. And even though we talk about not being perfect 100% of the time, here it is in real time, what it looks like. And in the first segment, what I was describing was, just as it was getting time to be here, there was the awareness, of course. I knew I had to be here, but I didn't have the framework. That's the part that I wasn't prepared about. I knew what I wanted to talk about. I knew that I was supposed to be here today. But aside from that, there are so many things that happened between the idea and now. And then on this day, and that's funny how the divine works, it literally hands me the content, but in a way that I don't like, in a way that's really uncomfortable, in a way that is like forcing me to push myself into a position where you can't fake it till you make it. And the reality is that, all the things that came up in that moment, and even now, and it's super fresh, like I'm talking like this happened 30 minutes ago. But all the things that came up really real, really fresh in my face, so I couldn't even deny it, was the anxiety, the fear, the doubt, the constriction of my heart center, the nervousness in my belly, all of these things. And why? Because I wasn't going to be able to fake my way through. I mean, I could have, but I don't feel like it, to be honest with you. It takes too much energy to fake it. Um, but I wasn't going to do that. And so it forced me to pause and then start asking myself some really much deeper questions in terms of why. Like why am I so anxious about this? At the end of the day, who cares? And then of course there's all the stories, right? Like still feeling like I need to be perfect, not 99% of the time, not even 99.5% of the time, like 100% of the time. And where did that start? And who am I kidding? And who am I fooling? And why is it okay to be vulnerable with these people, but not these people? And all these things, right, that come up. So as I said in the first segment, I think that goes all the way back to, being a kid and bringing home, report cards and test scores and all this other kind of stuff. But even if we fast forward into being an adult, and even now as I'm recalling the last week of meetings that I've had and conversations I've walked into and feeling like I needed to over prepare. I had a meeting this morning and last night at like midnight, I'm like thinking about the things I want to say and how I want to plan for it and all this other kind of stuff. And who I was planning with is like, oh, you're totally planning for the wrong things. And I listened to their feedback. But at the same time, even as I was planning with this person, I was like inside of myself, I'm like, yeah, that's how you plan. This is how I plan. And you're telling me to plan for all these other things, and I'm not going to let you get inside of my head of what I think is important to plan for. And the truth is that, again, yesterday I could feel the need to have my security blanket of planning, my need to have like this very false sense of control. Because the truth is that what I thought I needed to plan for, and even what my person that was planning with me thought I needed to plan for, didn't even come up in the meeting. Did not even come up in the meeting. So all of the planning that we were doing was completely irrelevant. And I think that's the point of even today. So even when I think back over the last week of all the planning that I did for all the meetings and all the presentations, it meant nothing. It meant zero, because we could plan for 1,000 different variables. And I rarely try to plan. As much as I'm a planner, I don't try to plan for every particular outcome. That's exhausting. But I do try to plan for two or three. And even with all that, thinking about the last week of all the things that I tried to plan for in a controlled environment, right? Because these were scheduled meetings where, and I can even see myself when I'm like messaging people and saying they want to have a meeting. I'm like, what's the topic of the conversation? Right? Like I'm trying to just control everything. So even in this moment, I'm just like, gee, I wonder what that's about. And I think that even that question just tells me so much. The need to control it boils down to somewhere in my world where I don't feel stable, a sense of security. Because when we grip onto things that we feel like we control, and that's the thing, when we try to hold on to something or control something, manipulate something, it eludes us even more. It destabilizes us. So it's funny because as much as I've been trying to control all these things in my world in the last week, you can see very clearly that I've been doing exactly the opposite in this intense need to control. And so when I think back to who was I trying to impress? And I can see very clearly, as I said, all of my colleagues. So it leads me to believe even now that there is still a story underneath that I do not know enough. I don't present enough. Other people might be questioning my worth, my value, and when I'm supposing or perceiving that other people are questioning those things, then inherently it means that I'm questioning those things. Because if I feel like I need to put on this show, be performative, and show that I know enough and show that I'm prepared enough, show that I'm confident enough, then that must mean that on some level that I don't feel like I know enough, that I don't feel like I'm prepared enough, that I don't feel confident enough. And that's the overexertion of control that I'm exhibiting within that. Whew, this is deep. I'm telling you, I'm just literally dissecting this right now in real time. So it's interesting that as I'm rolling through this, that I'm like having a lot of realizations about my own work that's within this, right? And there have been a lot of changes. And all of this actually pertains to the workplace. And there's been a lot of changes within the workplace for me. And I can see that it's like this need to feel a sense of confidence within that is ultimately creating some destabilization. And even now, as I'm saying that, I feel like what I'm being asked to do through this destabilization is actually not do it like anyone else, but to do it exactly like me. And that is, if I'm being really honest, terrifying because the way that I do things is not like anyone else. And even as I'm thinking through and remembering over the last few weeks how I've been so challenged in the way that I do things and, being, we'll say, the word that I'm looking for is being questioned, or maybe I'm questioning myself if the way that I show up, if the way that I lead, if the way that I want to be as a leader is really conducive to productivity, and maybe even questioning my own ideas. So, my idea, if I haven't said it before on this podcast, is that there is absolutely a place to walk in a way that is fully intentionally conscious, fully intentional spiritual, balancing that, yes, with the practicality, but yes, also equally creating abundance, wealth, profit, good, impact, all of these things. I think that's my solid belief that there is absolutely a way to do it. This last week or two has fully challenged me in regards to all of that. I'm seeing all the resistance around me. And I say, or they say, not me, they, whoever they is, your outer world is a reflection of your inner world. So perhaps the resistance that I'm seeing is the fact that I am still on some level trying to do it the way that someone else wants me to do it. And you might be saying, well, what is it? I mean, all the things. I mean, living my journey, my life, my path. And that there is probably a part of me that is still not fully accepting the way that I want to do that for fear of judgment and shame and all that stuff. And now as I'm saying it, the truth of the matter is all those things have happened. So I'm totally manifesting at like 100%. All the fears about shame, blame, judgment, all those things have happened in the last week. I'm having a total epiphany moment right now. So clearly it's being reflected back to me right now that all of the things that I am experiencing in my outer world of shame, blame, and judgment about who I am and how I lead is being really reflected back to me because it's literally been said to me. So that's some juicy work that I get. Yay, me. Homework. Woohoo. I'm so looking forward to it. So I guess the question that I pose to myself, and maybe or one of the questions I pose to myself and ultimately to you is, who in my life gets to see me unprepared? Who in my life gets to see me unprepared? And as I reflect on that, the list is really small, really, really small. I'm actually reaching far back in the recesses of my mind. I'm not talking about vulnerable. There's there's a small list of people who get to see me vulnerable. I mean unprepared, like not ready. And that list is real small. So the question I would pose to you, we are about to go to our second break, is who in your life, so I've been honest, There's not very many people. I can't even actually think of anybody. They might have they might have witnessed me in a way that they thought that I was unprepared, but I mean where I know that I am not prepared. And I hope you understand the nuance there. And I don't actually think that there's anybody on that list as I think about it, which is shocking to me. That is, I don't even know how I managed that, but in any event, um, we are about to go to our second break, but please ponder that. Who in your life has ever had the opportunity to see you unprepared? We'll be right back.
Leadership isn't reserved for CEOs or world leaders. It's something each of us is called to embody in our own lives. But how do you awaken that inner leader with clarity and confidence? On Sacred Leadership with intuitive business coach Sherisse Alexander, you'll discover powerful tools and spiritual insights to align your words, actions, and outcomes. Tune in every Wednesday at 11 a.m. Eastern, 10 Central, 9 Mountain, and 8 Pacific, right here on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com.
How wonderful would it be to carry your favorite Inspired Choices Network host with you throughout your day? Well, now you can. Inspired Choices Network now has its very own mobile app. Our free app offers live streaming shows, along with thousands of podcasts and TV episodes. Our shows cover a wide variety of topics. Whether you're waking up with us, carrying us through the day, and taking us to bed with you, we're always here for you to enjoy. We're easy to find. Just search for Inspired Choices Network in the Apple App Store or Google Play Store.
This is Sacred Leadership with Sherisse Alexander. To participate in the program, join the live studio audience in our chat room at InspiredChoicesNetwork.com. You can also send an email to Sherisse@pavitraleadership.com. Now back to the program.
Welcome back to Sacred Leadership with Sherisse here on the Inspired Choices Network, where today I am talking about the things we don't want to say out loud, and it's been a real one. If you're just joining us, today I have been very, very honest that I completely forgot about today's episode. I had a title. That was it. I had no framework. And I've been finding, actually, funnily enough, that I've been doing that more and more lately. And so it's funny because I've been trying to do it intentionally, but today was completely unintentional. And normally what I've been doing of late is, and you might be wondering, like, why is this a big deal? And it's a big deal for me because I'm a bit of a planner. And it's been really actually a lot of intentional work for me over the last few years to really begin to build this practice with trusting myself and not needing to have all the answers and not needing to plan, and letting go of logic and trying to really lean into, divine feminine intuition, trust, all this other kind of stuff. But, as the universe has it sometimes, just when you think you've done enough, it goes ahead and gives you a little bit more. And that is what today is all about. And just as I was saying that, another thing had dawned on me because it's like, I'm even sitting here thinking, I'm like, well, how did this happen? How did I let this happen? Like, how did I totally forget to and when I say I forgot, I mean everything except that I needed to be here today. That's the only thing I remembered. And so I can't help but feel like, these things are so divinely orchestrated because I'm having so many juicy epiphanies in real time, in the moment. But one of the things I had just said was that I've really been trying to work on intentionally just kind of trusting what comes up. And when I first started, this podcast journey back in 2024, man, I was terrified. Like I tried planning. If you'd seen me back then, it was like I planned a year of episodes in advance, and I tried to book as many people in it. And some people would say, "Oh, that's just good planning." Yeah, 100%. But when I started thinking about what it is that I am trying to share with you, it is about how we begin to let go of control, needing to always have the answers, needing to always have the information. And trust me, I thought I was doing amazing. Like the way I live in my day is leaps and bounds, in my mind, anyways, more different than it was like 1, 2, 3, 5 years ago. So different. But this is one of those moments where it's like, oh, kidding. Not different enough. Look at you having a full-on panic attack because you forgot it was a podcast day. And so I feel like the next invitation here is there's more room for you to let go of control. There is more room for you to trust and not feel this panic around not having planned. And remember, if you're still with me here today, what did I say in segment 1 and segment 2 was that even in the 30 minutes before joining here today, I was like ferociously trying to figure out what I was going to say and how was I going to say it and what is this? And like, I mean, frenetic energy. And the interesting thing about that is there is your plan and then there is what actually unfolds. And then sometimes they just don't line up. And one thing that I've been intentionally trying to do, like I said, is be far more fluid, even with, this podcast. It's a creative outlet. I don't necessarily need to plan it down to the T. And I've watched myself over the last few episodes, months, years even, lessen the control that I feel like I need to have on something that's very much a creative endeavor. So it used to be, for example, that I would meet guests and I would, like before the interview, I would meet a guest, we would have a conversation. And I found that that took away so much from actual podcast day because we'd already had so much conversation. It's like we did the entire episode when we did a pre-interview. So I decided, I'm like, you know what? We're not doing that anymore. So I scrapped that. Then we would just meet on the day. But even then, I would still plan like weeks in advance of what I wanted to talk about and I would never give the questions to the guest, but I was still planning. And so now it's just kind of like, okay, I'm not even necessarily going to plan if I'm going to have a guest. I'm just going to see, because there's so many ideas lately that what felt relevant, 6 months ago it doesn't necessarily feel relevant now. So I almost feel like things are moving so rapidly in my life that trying to plan content 3 months ago for today is lunacy for me because things are going so fast. And I think that the truth is like where I am, what I'm doing, what I am trying to gift to the collective is not meant to be planned. It is meant to be in the moment. So much of the content that I'm putting out on the podcast, on social media is literally real-time stuff. It's either happening day of, day before, like for sure within a week of when that content is going out. And I think that the point is for me as well as for you is to say this is what integration looks like. I can talk about it or talk at you as much as I want, or even talk to myself as much as I want. But when it happens in real time, like the things that I face, the things that I struggle with, the easy stuff is easy, right? Anybody can talk about that, and most of us can cruise through the things that feel good without blinking an eye. It's the things that challenge us. That's where the gold is. That's where the magic is. That's where the real juicy nuggets of life come from. And I think that this entire experience of, forgetting about this podcast today was to even force me out of my comfort zone, let go of the security blankets, right? So I might have, you know, pages of notes that I scrambled together in like 30 minutes, but the reality is that I feel like I'm being invited to let go of the security blanket of prepping. I don't know about that. I don't know if I'm agreeing to that, to be honest with you. That seems too much, too fast. So that was a lot of rambling because at the end of the day, This is coming real in the moment. So I don't know if this is even making fully sense to you because I'm still digesting and processing in real time of what I think this experience in this moment is supposed to be giving me, the epiphanies that in fact, I should be writing these down, to be honest with you. They're so juicy. I feel like I'm basically doing like a video journal right now. So I'm going to have to remember to actually come back and watch this episode because I think I'm getting a lot that I'm not even fully digesting. I'm just sharing with you. And within that, even thinking about why I am so like, what was I wanting to protect within all of that? Because right before we went to the commercial break, there was a question that I'd asked yourself, you and me, which was who in my life has ever seen me unprepared? And I think that the honest answer is nobody, nobody. And then the ultimate follow-up question on that is, well, why? What the heck was I protecting? And I think what I was protecting was the fallacy of control, the fallacy of having it all together, the even protecting myself ultimately from shame, judgment, and blame. That is ultimately what I was trying to protect. And when I talk about wanting to protect myself from those things, well, who? Who was I trying to protect? Well, ultimately myself, but who else was I trying to pretend for? You, quite obviously. And like I said a few moments ago, like there's no reason why I needed to share any of this with you today. You would have never known. But what did I say? I'm like, for whatever reason, I just don't even want to. So I think even that is the encouragement and the invitation, right? I don't even want to. I didn't even consider it because this is why. This is the truth of why. See, all the honesty is coming out today. The truth of the why is because even as I wrote down the question, the things that I don't want to say out loud, there was literally nothing except this moment where I forgot. There was nothing I could make up. There was nothing that I could, and I'm sure if I really sat with it, long enough, but the truth of the matter is time was ticking. I needed to like literally be somewhere at a specific time, and I didn't have a lot of time to like really sit and think about the thing that I didn't want to say out loud. The only thing that I could come up with was this moment that was happening in real time where I forgot. And all the feelings that came up with that was all that I had. So I had to go with it. So that's what I mean when I say there was no reason to, but the truth is I didn't have anything else. I'm sorry, I find it's hilarious because, it's given me so much good, juicy insight today of where the work still is, with all the things that are still underneath the surface, all the stories that are still playing. So this is how we engage with when the uncomfortable things come up. So you're also getting to witness that in real time, which is, I'm laughing about it because while there's still like this heart heaviness around, you know, the shame, the blame, and the judgment, I'm laughing at myself because it's like, who cares really at the end of the day? At the end of the day, I'm not hurting anybody. At the end of the day, life will go on at the end of the day. And if we can't laugh at ourselves, and geez, I mean, I think we got a problem if we can't laugh at ourselves. So we are about to go to our next commercial break, sorry. But I think a real question that I can even ask myself within this is, why do I even feel like I need to always hold it together like this with this, as much as I talk about being non-performative, clearly, there's some work that I can still even do within that. But like, why, aside from, the shame and the blame and the judgment, I think there's something bigger here that I'm observing, obviously, within myself. Like, I said very honestly to someone, I think in the last week, and they were having a very vulnerable moment with me. So I chose in that moment to be equally very vulnerable with them. It's like their vulnerability, I feel like, gave me the permission to equally be vulnerable. But there was something that I had witnessed in that moment that really softened me, that I could soften with her. And what I'd said to her is I said, listen, at the end of the day, You don't have to like put up this facade and this wall like that you're not tired, that you're not burnt out, that you're not any of these things. I said the truth of the matter is yesterday I was in my bathroom crying about something that happened. I don't even remember what it was even now, but in that moment I could actually soften with her because she was being soft with me. And so even now I'm just like, why did I feel like I couldn't say that? I'm this heart-centered leader who leads with feeling and compassion and all this other kind of stuff, but yet I had to wait for someone else to show me their vulnerability first before I could even feel honest enough to say I was literally in my bathroom yesterday crying because I was feeling the weight of all the things that were going on. And I still needed to put my mask back in place and go back out there and be strong for people. But I couldn't admit until she was soft enough to do it. She had to go first. Huh. Interesting. The juice just keeps coming. Anyways, we're going to go to our next break. But before we go, please think about the last time you were truly, truly, truly vulnerable with the people in your life that you work with, that you cohabitate with, so on and so forth. We will be right back.
Leadership isn't reserved for CEOs or world leaders. It's something each of us is called to embody in our own lives. But how do you awaken that inner leader with clarity and confidence? On Sacred Leadership with intuitive business coach Sherisse Alexander, you'll discover powerful tools and spiritual insights to align your words, actions, and outcomes. Tune in every Wednesday at 11 a.m. Eastern, 10 Central, 9 Mountain, and 8 Pacific, right here on inspiredchoicesnetwork.com. This is Sacred Leadership with Sherisse Alexander. To participate in the program, join the live studio audience in our chat room at inspiredchoicesnetwork.com. You can also send an email to Sherisse@pavitraleadership.com. Now back to the program.
Welcome back to Sacred Leadership with Sherisse here on the Inspired Choices Network. And if you are enjoying today's content, please, please, please go and give me a 5-star review on your favorite listening platform. It would really be greatly appreciated. And thank you so much for the support. I love it. On today's episode, I am talking about the things that I don't want to say out loud. And just a really, really 30-second recap. The summary of today's episode has really been about the fact that I forgot about the episode today. I had a title, and that was it. Nothing else. No ideas, no thoughts, no questions, no nothing. Just that was it. Just a title. And about 30 minutes before go time, I was in full panic mode and having all of the emotions. And even now, I'll be really honest with you, I'm feeling a lot of emotion because right before we went to the last commercial break, there was a question I posed, and I was actually sharing a moment that I was having with a colleague where they were being super vulnerable. And it was through their vulnerability that I was able to soften within that and be equally vulnerable in return, where I'd said to them, hey, it's okay. Like, I'm holding space for her in this moment. I'm saying it's really okay. I can see that you're carrying a lot, and it's okay. You don't have to carry it. You're allowed to put it down. And I admitted to her, I said, just yesterday I was in my office crying, locked the door, cried it out, wiped my face, and went back to work. Mask fully in place, ready to go. And it occurred to me as I was sharing that with you, a question, which was, who carries me? And the truth, the thing that I don't want to say is, I don't know that anybody carries me the way that I hold space and carry other people. Yes, there are people who I can cry with and I can be vulnerable with, but I mean like really, really carry me when I don't feel like in my physical world. Spiritual world's a totally different story, and we can go there if you want. But in my physical world, when I think about the last time somebody really held space for me the way that I feel like I hold space for other people, I can't even remember a time. And that's actually kind of saddening to me. And and I probably never wanted to say that out loud, but the truth is like, I think also in the last week, the one thing that I've realized is in a lot of ways, I think that I'm really misunderstood. And just the conversations that I've had and the resistance that I've felt, and maybe the truth is that there's not a lot of people in my experience that that I trust to hold what I choose to share with them. And that experience can feel very, very lonely. Yes, there are people that I can call and that I can talk to, but I mean, really, really, really understand me. Here's the really interesting thing that I'm being reminded of right now. I think it was probably about 2 weeks ago. I was having one of these awareness moments where I was like, gee, man, there's like really very few people who really get me and who really understand. And so what I intended was, I'm like, you know what? You know what, God? I'm like, I'm ready for a friend. Send me a friend. And what I said was, send me a friend who really gets the things that I talk about, like really understands them, that I don't have to like give you a lot of priming and change my verbiage and all this other kind of stuff so you can really understand where I'm going. And then the friend, and this wasn't even actually a new friend, this is a friend, called me and was like, hey, I was just thinking about you. Like, do you want to talk? Kind of thing. So it was funny because it was like almost like a reminder, like there are people in your world that can be there for you to hold that space and hold that container. They don't always show up the way that you want them to. And what I mean is that they're not necessarily always in your very immediate physical circle, number one. Um, and number two, you also have to be willing, right? So if we go back to the example of the workplace where this person that I was sitting with that was she was willing. She chose to come see me. She chose to be vulnerable. She chose to take off her mask. She was very, very willing. And that gave me in turn permission, I feel like, another awareness. It gave me permission to in turn be vulnerable. So maybe the entire reason, and this is the I just had, somebody had said to me that when we show up fully authentic, fully ourselves in this experience with each other, that it effectively gives the people that we interact with the permission to do the exact same thing. And that's where the had come from, is that, as I just said, this person that I was talking to showed up vulnerable, and I felt like I had permission to do the exact same thing. So I guess the question I would pose to you is, where in your life can you show up fully vulnerable so that it can come back to you? And this is not me saying go out there and be vulnerable with everybody. I always will maintain, make sure it's safe and then someone you can trust and all this other kind of stuff, because it can, I feel, backfire if we are vulnerable with people who can't really hold that space. So I would caution you there. But where in your life next do you feel, or maybe it would be a challenge I would throw out to you, or an invitation I would throw out to you, the next time that you're interacting with someone that you know, you love, and you trust, can you show up with them in a way that is truly authentic and truly vulnerable, and just see what happens? Just see what unfolds from there. And I hope that today, through my sharing of what maybe could have been good, bad, or otherwise, I don't even know. I'm not even assessing it or judging it at this point anymore. But maybe through me being really, really honest and having some awarenesses and epiphanies in real time, maybe it's served you in some way. Maybe it has invited you to be open and honest with yourself and open up something today that you can equally process and digest. So thank you again for joining me today. And until next time, please take care of yourselves.
Thank you for listening to the Sacred Leadership Show. Sherisse returns Wednesday at 11 a.m. Eastern, 10 Central, 9 Mountain, and 8 Pacific on the InspiredChoicesNetwork.com. Until then, continue taking small steps today to be a leader in your life for the collective.